Do you remember that brave little girl who appeared on television when she was just 6 years old, telling the world about her journey as a transgender child? Jennings captured hearts everywhere with her bright smile and incredible courage on the hit show I Am Jazz. But what happened to that fearless young person who became the face of transgender youth in America? Today, we're going to talk about Jazz's life now. And honestly, it might bring tears to your eyes. For years, millions of viewers watched Jazz grow up on television. We saw her navigate school, friendships, family relationships, and all the challenges that come with being a transgender teenager in the spotlight. She seemed unstoppable, always fighting for what she believed in and inspiring countless young people around the world. But behind those cameras, behind that confident smile, Jazz was struggling with battles that most of us never saw coming. Jennings became famous at a very young age, and with that fame came pressure that most adults couldn't handle, let alone a child born as a boy, but knowing from the time she could speak that she was actually a girl. Jazz's story touched millions of hearts. Her parents, Greg and Jeanette Jennings, made the difficult decision to support their daughter's transition and share their family's journey on national television. The show I Am Jazz started airing in 2015 when Jazz was just 14 years old. For 8 seasons, viewers watched as she navigated high school, underwent gender confirmation surgery, applied to college, and dealt with typical teenage problems alongside the unique challenges of being transgender. In America, she seemed like she had it all figured out. She was confident, articulate, and determined to make the world a better place for transgender youth. But what we didn't see was the toll that growing up in the public eye was taking on Jazz's mental health. The pressure to be perfect, to always be on, to represent an entire community of people was crushing her spirit little by little. Jazz has since opened up about struggling with severe depression and anxiety, conditions that began developing during her teenage years, but became much worse as she got older. The first major sign that something was wrong came after Jazz graduated from high school. She had been accepted to Harvard University, one of the most prestigious schools in the world. This should have been a celebration, a moment of pure joy and pride. Instead, it became the beginning of one of the darkest periods in Jazz's life. The pressure of getting into Harvard, combined with all the other stresses in her life, triggered something inside her that she wasn't prepared to handle. Jazz began experiencing what she later described as binge eating disorder. This is a serious mental health condition where someone eats large amounts of food in short periods of time, often feeling completely out of control while doing it. For Jazz, food became a way to cope with her overwhelming emotions, her anxiety, and her depression. But instead of helping, it only made things worse. Over the course of about 2 years, Jazz gained nearly 100 pounds. For someone who had always been in the public eye, who had cameras following her around, documenting her life, this weight gain was incredibly difficult to deal with. She felt ashamed, embarrassed, and completely lost. The confident young woman who had inspired so many people was now struggling to get out of bed. Some days, the weight gain wasn't just about how Jazz looked or felt about her body. It was affecting her health, her mobility, and her mental state. She became more depressed, more anxious, and started isolating herself from friends and family. The bright, outgoing personality that viewers had fallen in love with seemed to disappear completely. Jazz later admitted that there were times when she didn't want to leave her house, didn't want to be seen by anyone, and felt like she had lost herself entirely. Because of her mental health struggles and the weight gain, Jazz made the difficult decision to defer her enrollment at Harvard. This was heartbreaking for someone who had worked so hard academically and had dreams of attending one of the world's best universities. But Jazz knew she wasn't in the right headspace to succeed at such a demanding school, and she needed to focus on getting better. First, the decision to delay college was just the beginning of a long, difficult journey toward healing. Jazz had to confront not only her eating disorder, but also the underlying depression and anxiety that had been building up for years. She started working with therapists, nutritionists, and other healthcare professionals to address all aspects of her mental and physical health. One of the most painful parts of Jazz's struggle was dealing with criticism and judgment from people online. When someone gains weight in the public eye, especially someone as well known as Jazz, people feel like they have the right to comment, criticize, and give unsolicited advice. Jazz faced cruel comments about her appearance, her health, and her choices. Some people even questioned whether her struggles were related to her transgender identity, which added another layer of pain to an already difficult situation. Jazz has been incredibly brave in speaking openly about her mental health challenges. She's talked about having panic attacks, feeling overwhelmed by simple daily tasks, and struggling with thoughts of self-doubt and worthlessness. For someone who had spent years being a role model and advocate for others, admitting that she was struggling was both terrifying and liberating. The binge eating disorder was particularly challenging because it created a cycle that seemed impossible to break. Jazz would feel stressed or sad, which would trigger a binge eating episode. After binge eating, she would feel guilty and ashamed, which would make her more stressed and sad, leading to more binge eating. Is a vicious cycle that millions of people struggle with. But for Jazz, it was happening under the scrutiny of public attention. During this difficult time, Jazz's family played a crucial role in her recovery. Her parents and siblings rallied around her, providing support and love even when things seemed hopeless. However, Jazz has also been honest about the fact that her family sometimes struggled to understand what she was going through. There were times when their attempts to help actually made her feel worse, particularly when they would comment on her eating habits or weight. Jazz later revealed that she sometimes felt like her family was fat-shaming her, even though she knew they were trying to help. This added strain to relationships that had already been complicated by years of living in the public eye. The family that had seemed so close and supportive on television was dealing with real difficult challenges behind the scenes. The road to recovery has been long and difficult for Jazz. It wasn't a straight line from struggling to being healthy again. There were setbacks, difficult days, and times when she felt like giving up entirely. But slowly, with the help of professional treatment and the support of her loved ones, Jazz began to make progress. She started working with therapists who specialized in eating disorders and body image issues. She learned coping strategies for dealing with stress and anxiety that didn't involve food. She began to understand the root causes of her binge eating and developed healthier ways to process her emotions. The weight loss journey was particularly challenging because Jazz had to be careful not to develop unhealthy habits. In the other direction, many people who struggle with binge eating disorder can swing to the opposite extreme and become obsessed with restricting food or exercising excessively. Jazz had to find a balance between losing weight for her health while maintaining a healthy relationship with food and her body. Over the past 2 years, Jazz has managed to lose nearly 100 pounds. But more importantly than the number on the scale, she's regained her confidence, her joy, and her sense of self. The transformation isn't just physical, it's emotional and mental as well. Jazz has talked about feeling like herself again, about being able to enjoy activities she used to love, and about having hope for the future. In 2022, Jazz finally felt ready to start her college journey. She enrolled at Harvard University 2 years later than originally planned, but at a time when she was mentally and emotionally prepared for the challenge. This was a huge milestone in her recovery journey and a sign that she was ready to start building the future she had always dreamed of. Jazz is currently attending Harvard University and is set to graduate in the summer of 2025. This is an incredible achievement, not just academically, but personally for someone who struggled so much with mental health that she had to delay starting college. Being close to graduation represents years of hard work, determination, and healing. Jazz has been open about the fact that her recovery is ongoing. Mental health isn't something you fix once and then never have to worry about again. She still has days when she struggles with anxiety or depression. She still has to be mindful of her relationship with food and her body image, but she's developed the tools and support system she needs to manage these challenges in healthy ways. One of the most inspiring things about Jazz's journey is how she's used her struggles to help others. She's been incredibly open about her experiences with binge eating disorder, depression, and anxiety. By sharing her story, she's helped remove some of the shame and stigma around these issues. Many young people who are struggling with similar challenges have found comfort and hope in Jazz's honesty about her difficulties. Jazz's story is a reminder that recovery is possible, but it's also a reminder of how challenging mental health struggles can really be. It's easy to look at someone who seems to have it all together and assume that their life is perfect. But Jazz's experience shows us that even the bravest, most confident people can struggle with invisible battles. The pressure of growing up in the public eye combined with the already significant challenges of being a transgender youth in America created a perfect storm for Jazz's mental health struggles. She was dealing with her own identity and development while also carrying the weight of representing an entire community. That's an enormous burden for anyone, let alone a teenager. But Jazz's story isn't just heartbreaking. It's also hopeful. Her journey shows us that it's possible to overcome even the darkest periods in our lives. It shows us that asking for help is a sign of strength, not weakness. And it shows us that recovery is possible, even when things seem hopeless. Today, Jazz is in a much better place than she was a few years ago. She's healthier, happier, and more confident. She's pursuing her education at one of the world's most prestigious universities. She's continued her advocacy work using her platform to raise awareness about mental health issues and eating disorders. And she's building a life that's authentic to who she is rather than who she thinks she needs to be for other people. Jazz's transformation over the past few years has been remarkable. In recent photos and videos, she looks healthy, radiant, and genuinely happy. She revealed that she had lost 100 pounds over 2 years, but more importantly, she shared that she feels like herself. Again, she's smiling, genuinely engaging with fans and followers, and seems to have rediscovered the joy and confidence that made people fall in love with her in the first place. Her story is a powerful reminder that healing is possible, but it takes time, effort, and support. Jazz didn't recover overnight, and she's been honest about the fact that recovery is an ongoing process. But her journey from the depths of depression and eating disorder to where she is now shows us what's possible when we don't give up on ourselves or each other. Jazz's experience also highlights the importance of mental health awareness and support, particularly for young people in the public eye. The pressure and scrutiny that comes with fame can be overwhelming, and it's crucial that we create systems of support for people who are dealing with these challenges. Jazz's openness about her struggles has helped start important conversations about these issues. Looking at Jazz's life now, it's clear that while her journey has been incredibly difficult, she's emerged stronger and more resilient than ever. She's learned valuable lessons about herself, about mental health, and about the importance of prioritizing her own well-being. These lessons will serve her well as she continues to build her life and her career. Jazz's story reminds us that everyone is fighting battles we can't see. The confident, successful person sitting next to you might be struggling with depression. The person who always seems to have it together might be dealing with anxiety or an eating disorder. Jazz's willingness to share her struggles helps us all remember to be more compassionate and understanding with each other. As Jazz continues her journey through college and into adulthood, she carries with her the wisdom that comes from having faced some of life's toughest challenges and come out the other side. Her story isn't over. In many ways, it's just beginning. She has the opportunity to use her experiences to help others, to continue, advocating for important causes, and 2, build a life that's meaningful and fulfilling. Jazz Jennings' life now might have had heartbreaking moments, but it's also a testament to the power of resilience, healing, and hope. Her journey from the confident child we first met on television through the dark period of mental health struggles and into her current recovery and success shows us that our lowest moments don't define us. What defines us is how we choose to move forward, how we seek help when we need it, and how we use our experiences to grow and help others. The little girl who bravely shared her story with the world has grown into a young woman who continues to inspire others through her honesty, her vulnerability, and her determination to keep fighting for herself and for others. Jazz's life now is a reminder that healing is possible, that we all deserve support and compassion, and that our struggles can become sources of strength and wisdom. If you found Jazz's story inspiring or if it resonated with you in any way, please give this video a thumbs up. Her journey shows us the importance of talking about mental health, supporting each other through difficult times, and never giving up hope. Share this video with someone who might need to hear Jazz's story of resilience and recovery. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more stories about the people who have touched our hearts and taught us valuable lessons about life, struggle, and triumph. Jazz's story reminds us that we all have the strength to overcome our challenges, and sometimes sharing our struggles can be the first step toward healing, both for ourselves and for others who need to know they're not alone.